Alright, what's up, you guys? You're watching Zealocity. This is the first ever podcast on this channel. So, this is gonna be something which you can watch or listen to rather in your car or while driving or while doing some household chores or whatever you're doing. You can always listen to this because this is gonna be an audio intensive kind of a podcast. But obviously, you are more than welcome to look at me and the video of the podcast. The topic, as you have already seen in the title, it's going to be about flexible dieting 101. Everything that you need to know about flexible dieting, how you can design your nutrition plan. This is literally for the people who have been asking me about how much protein to have, how much carbs to eat in a day, how do I design a flexible nutrition plan, how do I, etc., etc. You know these questions. So if you don't have the money to spend on a good nutrition course, this is the right perfect video for you. I have the timestamps below. You can check out the timestamps and jump to whichever part you wish to watch, but still I would recommend watching the entire video so that you get full insight and full clarity on how and what exactly that you need to do for your healthy nutrition plan. So let's just dive into the main topics for today. The first chapter, I'm going to go one by one and I'm going to explain how a flexible nutrition plan can be designed for you. But let me just get you through the basics first. I'll explain the fundamentals and then slowly we're going to build it up to how you can design your plan. So now, number one, you need to understand this one thing, that calories matter more than the macronutrients. For the ones that don't know what calories are or what macros are, let me just break it down to you first. Calories are nothing but the energy unit. It's just a unit of energy, a calorie, right? So you get calories from macronutrients of food. Macronutrients are nothing but the carbohydrates, the proteins, the fat that you consume in the entire day. Okay, by definition, macronutrients are the nutrients in food that you eat in over 10 grams of unit. Like let's say you don't ever have just 5 grams of carbs in the entire day, or you don't just ever have 5 grams of protein in the entire day. You have more than 50, you have more than 100 grams of carbs in the entire day. So that becomes a macronutrient. By definition, a micronutrient would be something which you consume less than 10 grams in a day. Like it could be vitamins, minerals like calcium, magnesium, iron. These are not macronutrients. These fall under the category of micronutrients. Okay, so I hope this is clear on the difference between micro and macronutrients. There's something, the basics that you should know. And calories, nothing but the unit of energy. Okay, calorie is nothing but the unit of energy. Just how we measure the distance. Like let's say from your place to your girlfriend's place or your boyfriend's place, the way you measure distance from A to B in kilometers. How you measure your weight in kgs or grams. That's how you measure energy of food in calories. Okay. So that's basically what you need to understand, the fundamental. Now, the rule here in flexible dieting is that calories matter more than the macronutrients, because calories are the ones that dictate. Basically, see, I'll just give you an example here. Macronutrients are anyway just calorie giving foods, right? So the main two energy giving macronutrients are carbohydrates and fat. Carbohydrates and fat can literally be substituted. Like let's say if you wish to do a little bit higher carb diet, then you can go a little bit lower on the fat. If you wish to do a little bit higher on the fat side, if you wish to do a low carb diet, then you can increase your fat content of the day. Okay, so this is how you can design it, because as far as the clinical trials are concerned, as much as research has shown us, the overall calorie count, calorie intake matters more than the macronutrient split. So whether you decide to do a low carb high fat or a low fat high carb diet or a moderate carb moderate fat diet, it does not matter as long as I hope you understood the point. Calories are controlled. Okay, so the calories are the main fundamental thing that you need to control if you wish to have a flexible diet. Okay, so calories matter more than macros. Now, this rule also gives us a lot of flexibility in terms of eating more carbohydrates on the days that you need more carbohydrates. Like let's say that you need more carbs on a leg day, right? So leg day, you'll be burning a lot of your muscle glycogen on the leg days, right? So it's wise to have a higher carb day on the leg day, and you can go slightly lower on the fat if need be, or you can just increase your overall calories on the leg day so that you feel more energetic. Anyway, this was a little bit workout related. Getting back to our topic now, you just need to understand that the carbs fat split is not that important. Okay, so this is the rule of flexible dieting. Carbs and fats can be anything in terms of your calories. Now you need to understand how to count those calories, right? So that's one thing which we're going to get to in a little bit of time. But let's just understand the next chapter, the next segment of this video, which is going to be related to protein. Now, protein is something that is essential. Everyone knows protein is the most important macronutrient, and I always yell this in my videos to eat your goddamn protein. It's not for just waste, because protein is actually really important in terms of muscle building, tissue repair. So the tissue that is damaged in your body, it could be muscle tissue, it could be bone tissue. So whatever tissue is being damaged, it repairs due to protein, and that process is called muscle protein synthesis. And that's exactly what happens when you go to the gym, when you do weight training. You break down the muscle, whatever muscle you're working on. Like, let's say if you're working legs, so you're doing squats, then essentially what you're doing is you're breaking down the muscle, the tissue. The muscle is tissue. So you're breaking down the muscle tissue of the leg muscle groups, like mainly the gluteus group, the gluteus maximus, minimus, and the gluteus medius. Let me correct that. And hamstrings and quadriceps. So you're breaking down these muscle groups. Basically, you're damaging these muscle groups. And due to the muscle protein synthesis, the muscle is repaired, the tissue is repaired, and then the new tissue is built on top of that. And that's essentially what we call muscle hypertrophy or muscle building. All right. Now, in terms of muscle building, protein is number one, the key macronutrient that your body needs in order to build muscle. The second function of protein would be to directly impact your metabolic health. More protein dictates better metabolic health, and it also increases the metabolic rate, because protein digestion by itself takes a little bit. It's a complex process. The body has to spend calories in order to obtain calories from protein. So like if I give you an example, to obtain 1 gram of protein, so 1 gram of protein gives you 4 kilocalories, or calories are pretty interchangeable here. In terms of wordplay, they're not literally the same. They don't literally mean the same. Kilocal and CAL or KCAL. Most of the times we write 10 kilocalories or 10 calories. What we're saying is essentially the same. Okay, so I'm going to be using calories and kilocalories interchangeably. Don't get confused here. Okay, now, so 1 gram of protein gives you 4 kilocalories or 4 calories. And your body has to break that down. The structure of the protein needs to be broken down in order to obtain the 4 calories from protein. But in that process, your body burns 1 or 2 calories in order to obtain those 4 calories. So it's like net calories obtained from protein, from 1 gram of protein, would not be 4 calories, but would rather be 2 or 3 calories. So I hope you get the point. So protein in itself is a complex structure that your body needs to break down first, and then it could obtain the energy, obtain the calories from protein. Now, talking about the other functions, the protein really is important in terms of making enzymes in the body. So a lot of enzymes are made with the help of protein, and a lot of hormones in the body, the peptide hormones like the insulin, glucagon, and neurotransmitters like dopamine, serotonin, melatonin, all of these are made with the help of protein. So you need to understand that protein is important. Long story short, protein is important, and protein is the most essential macronutrient, taking care of a variety of functions, physiological functions in the body. Now, let's talk about how much protein that you need in a day. How much protein do you actually need in a day? Now, I've spoken about this in various videos. How much protein do you need? How much protein should you eat? Why protein is important? I know all that, but this video, I just wanted to refresh your memory in case you haven't watched the videos before that I've posted on my channel, or if you're new to the channel, it would be helpful for you. So I have just given you a refresh. I'll keep refreshing the old videos memory for you as well. Now, protein, how much to consume? I will be categorizing this in 3 different groups. Low intensity group. Now remember this, the same rule applies for carbs and fat, which I'm going to be talking about. But just remember this, the low intensity group is always going to be a group which indulges in low intensity activity, like walking, jogging, or just some activity like badminton or basic activities which don't demand a lot of energy, and not doing that every day. Okay, so if you do yoga 3 or 4 days a week, or if you just do walking, or if you just indulge in badminton or table tennis or something like that, some basic activity, not intense heavy activity, if you do that for 2 or 3 days a week, then that would be considered a low intensity group. The moderate intensity group will be the ones that indulge in weight training and activities rather for 4 days a week, at least 4 days a week. That would be moderate intensity group. And the high intensity group would be people who engage in activities like weight training, intense boxing or MMA or athletics, or anything which demands more energy, some intense energy output, 5 to 6 days a week, and also doing cardio and also doing yoga or whatever it is. Okay, so like my example, I go to the gym 5 to 6 days a week. I do cardio every day. I do play badminton once in a while, once in a week or so that I would consider myself in the heavy intensity category. Okay, so if you fall in the same category, you need to make sure that you have the protein intake as per that. Now, talking about the low intensity group, the minimum protein intake that the low intensity group needs to have is somewhere around 1 to 1.2 grams per kg of your body weight. Okay, now if your body weight is 70 kgs, then you should be having at least 70 grams of protein in the entire day. And I'm talking about good quality protein, first class quality protein sources preferably, or having the essential amino acids in the right quantity. Now I'm going to be talking about that in the next section, but 1 gram per kg of your body weight, that would be 70 grams of protein in the day, or 1.2 grams of kg per kg of your body weight, that would be somewhere around 80 to 84 grams of protein. So we're talking about a range of 70 to 84 grams of protein as a low intensity for a 70 kg person. Now you can always do the math for yourself. For a moderate intensity person, your protein intake needs to be 1.2 to 1.5 grams per kg of your body weight. Okay, 1.2 being the lower side, a bare minimum that you really need. So again, coming to the same example, a 70 kg person would need 84 grams of protein as a minimum if the person is indulging in moderate intensity activity. Going up to 105 grams of protein, that would be 1.5 times. So 84 to 105 grams of protein per kg of your body weight. So overall in your day, rather, okay, 1.2 to 1.5 grams per kg of your body weight, that would equate to 84 to 105 grams of protein in the entire day for a 70 kg person. Now coming to the high intensity category, it would be, starting range would be 1.5 grams per kg of your body weight, and ranging all the way up to 2.2 even, or the upper limit is actually non-existent. I would honestly say the upper limit is actually non-existent, because if you consider protein sources like chicken breast or eggs or paneer or tofu or soya chunks, you cannot technically overeat protein sources by themselves. You can overeat calories from carbs or fats, but not from protein. Okay, now coming back to the same thing, 1.5 to 2 grams or 2.2 grams per kg of your body weight, that would be somewhere around, like, let's say for a 70 kg person, coming to the same example, the minimum protein intake will be 105 grams, and the maximum could literally be 150, 160, whatever you wish to, because protein has a very satiating effect on your body. So you will not technically be overeating protein, and there are no downsides to having more protein. Even 3 grams per kg of your body weight will not give you any problems. Now there are studies, there are people who show absurd studies, the studies in rat models which have been fed, the rats which have been fed copious amounts of protein, like 4 grams per kg of body weight or 5 grams per kg of body weight. And in the rats, we've seen that you can develop liver problems, you can develop kidney problems if you have a high protein diet. But still, when we see human randomized control trials, first thing, protein cannot be overeaten if it comes in the natural form. If you have a powdered form of protein, then yes, you can overeat the protein, but still there are very less people, or very rare cases of people who consume more than 5 scoops of protein in a day, and then they are consuming more than 4 times of the body weight of protein in the entire day. So I don't think that's going to be a problem for a sane person like you and me. Protein issue is not going to be a problem. Okay, so a minimum, as I told, for advanced people 1.5, a maximum could be 2 or 2.2, even more, not a problem. Okay, now let's jump to the next section, which I wanted to understand about carbohydrates. Now, carbohydrates, I know that there's been a lot of misinformation. There's been a lot of chaos when it comes to carbohydrate. So I would actually call it a carb chaos. And there's a lot of fear mongering in terms of the carbohydrates. in terms of the carbohydrates and how you should eat carbohydrates, or whether you shouldn't eat carbohydrates, because that's what we've been essentially hearing all around us. Like the keto community or the low carb community has just been demonizing carbs left, right, and center, and we're just left with going by our own intuition. And I know people who eat carbs, well, like they feel very guilty while eating carbs. Like even if they have rice once in a while, they would actually feel really guilty, and especially in front of the people who follow keto, because I come from a background of, I've been associated with keto and low carb for a fair bit of time in the past, and I know people who would feel really guilty, like as if they're committing a crime if they have carbohydrates in front of our community or something like that. Okay, let's just not get too communal here, but still. Now, you need to understand that carbohydrates do not make you fat. Carbohydrates have their fair bit in terms of optimizing performance, especially in terms of muscle building. And if you go to the gym, then your carb intake really has to match up to your intensity. Or it's actually your choice, okay? It's actually your choice. If you don't wish to eat carbs, that's on you. You can increase your fat content there. But if you wish to eat carbohydrates in moderation, then you definitely can, and it definitely, most certainly, does not cause obesity. It does not cause heart disease. It does not make you diabetic. It does not make you fat. It does not do any of the bad stuff. But still, carbohydrates can definitely be consumed as a part of daily healthy lifestyle. And what's my stance on how much carbohydrates you can eat in the entire day? I would say it depends on your activity levels. Like, for coming back to the same low, moderate, and high intensity of activity levels in the entire day, for a low activity level, like again coming back to the same thing as I told you, let me refresh that. Low intensity or low activity levels would be doing just yoga or walking, very basic activities, or not indulging in too heavy activities like weight training and sports like boxing or basketball or something like that. So that would be low intensity, low activity. You can consume 2 grams per kg of your body weight of carbohydrates in the entire day. That's absolutely fine. For a 60 kg person, 120 grams of carbs, absolutely fine. Because you're not indulging in heavy activity. So you can take it down a bit. You don't have to go crazy on the carbs. It's best to keep your carbohydrate intake as per your activity levels. If you indulge in moderate intensity or moderate activity levels, if you're moderately active, then you can have 3 grams of carbohydrates per kg of your body weight. And going up to high activity levels, if you're very active in the entire routine in your daily lifestyle, then you can even go up to 4 or 5 grams of carbohydrates per kg of your body weight. Okay, so like for my example, again, 70 kgs, I would be eating somewhere around 280 grams of carbohydrates in the entire day. My minimum is somewhere around 250, but my maximum is even 350 or 380 on some days. Anyway, so this is just to give you a fair bit of example, but you can easily consume 2 grams per kg of your body weight of carbohydrates without any problem whatsoever. Okay, now there are some components of carbohydrates that we need to understand, so I'm just going to give you some insight on what I think about, on what you should know rather about carbohydrates. Okay, now number 1, there's a lot of chaos between simple and complex carbohydrates. We all know simple carbohydrates, complex carbohydrates. We've all been listening to these things. Don't have simple carbohydrates, have complex carbohydrates. But fruits are actually categorized as simple carbohydrates. So simple carbohydrates are nothing but they're just 2 saccharin molecules. If I'm wrong here, I may be a little bit off with this here, but still, simple carbohydrates are two molecules of saccharin. So basically 2 types of saccharin molecules that are present in the simple carbohydrates, and complex are basically more than 4 or 5 molecules of saccharin. So that's what we call monosaccharides. Disaccharides are simple carbohydrates, and polysaccharides, oligosaccharides, come under the complex carbohydrates. But let's not get too technical here. Simple carbohydrates are basically simple sugar, the white sugar that we have. Jaggery also comes in simple carbohydrates. Honey also comes under simple carbohydrates. So with that logic, if you see the old school problem, like even fruits come under simple carbohydrates, because fruits contain only 2 types of saccharin, 2 disaccharide. So it's going to be fructose and glucose, the combination of fructose and glucose in fruits. Okay, so with that old school conventional knowledge, if we go by that, then You know what? Fruits are toxic for you. Fruits are bad. Fruits are something which fall under simple carbs category, and should not be consumed, because people say that simple carbs are the devil, simple carbs are bad, have complex carbs, rather have complex carbs. But with that logic, maida actually comes under complex carbohydrates. And how is maida somehow the better choice than fruits? It's not, right? So what we're going to do now, what you should be doing right now, is just eliminate the thought of simple versus complex carbohydrates. You can have simple carbs, you can have complex carbs, it does not really matter. What really matters is the glycemic load. That's number one. And two, the overall quantity of carbohydrates. Now, what is glycemic load? It's basically the amount of blood sugar that a particular carbohydrate source will spike. Okay. Now, 1 big tablespoon of white sugar will have a higher glycemic load, although in the same calories. Like, let's say 1 big tablespoon of sugar will give you somewhere around 50-60 calories. Like 20 grams of sugar will give you 80 calories. Okay. 20 grams of sugar is going to give you 80 calories. 1 bowl of watermelon is going to give you 60 calories or 80 calories. Rather, a big bowl of watermelon will give you 80 calories. But still, the difference will be that the 1 tablespoon of sugar, the 80 calories from sugar, will be giving you a higher amount of blood sugar spike. The spike of your blood sugar is going to be much higher when you compare it with a bowl of watermelon or a bowl of berries or strawberries or kiwi or muskmelon or guava or something like that. It's going to give you a much bigger spike. The sugar is going to give you a much bigger spike than the fruit, although having the same amount of carbs, although having the same amount of calories. So you get the point here. Glycemic load matters, definitely, but still, overall quantity of carbohydrates would still be the king. Overall quantity of calories would still be the king. Okay, so we need to really look at how much calories you're consuming of that. Now, let's say if you're consuming 100 calories of sugar or 100 calories of some junk food in the entire day, but if you are in a calorie deficit, if you are having a fair amount of calories, if you're under your calorie limit, if you're not over consuming your calories, if you're not over consuming your daily calories, then you will not put on weight. That's the simple rule. That's the simple rule of thermodynamics. You eat lesser calories than what you burn in the entire day, you will lose weight. If you eat more calories than what you need in a day, you will gain weight. Okay. And if you eat the same amount of calories or close to the same amount of calories that you need in the entire day, you will maintain your weight. That's the basic rule of weight loss, weight gain, maintenance. Now, which brings me to the next chapter, to the next segment of this video, and which is going to be how you can count your calories. And then we'll move on to the next chapters on how the fat intake is going to be, and how my basic tips on how you can manage your daily satiety and daily nutrition plan. Now, how to count your calories. I've done this video in detail, so you can watch this video. I'm going to be linking the video of how to count calories in the description of this video. You can watch it later. But in this video, I'm just going to give you a little brief on how you can count your calories. Now, there are apps which could help you. There's Healthify Me, the Indian app, which has a huge database for Indian foods which you can consume, or which you can just look up for a typical portion size. Now, it's crazy. They even have, this is not a sponsored video from Healthify Me. Let me just give you that disclaimer here. Healthify Me has a great, crazy database. Now, you can even search for Oreo cookies and you get the exact amount of calories that you get in Oreo cookies. I know, right? That sounds crazy. Now, Oreo is there. You have even Quality Walls, the Cornetto ice cream. You even get that on the database. So it's just how efficient it becomes to have your daily treats. Now, whatever ice cream you wish to have, or whatever Lays or chips, like if you wish to have that once in a while in terms of your flexible dieting, because that's the video. Hey, you're listening or watching to the podcast, flexible dieting. So obviously the flexible dieting means that you should be able to include foods that you wish to, small treats that you wish to in your daily routine, and still not go overboard with your calories and still stay on track with your fat loss. Now, let's not start the debate of, but that's not healthy and this and that. This is flexible dieting. A flexible approach helps you stick to a long-term nutrition plan without having binge eating problems. Because a lot of times when you don't have a flexible nutrition plan, when you go on a very restricted nutrition plan, then you tend to actually binge eat if you get the opportunity. Like, let's say if you're eating clean, 100%, you're just eating clean, and for 10 days, 15 days, you just lose your mind. And then on one day, you go out and have a large pizza, large fries, large Coke, and then after that you're going to have a big cheesecake, and then on that day alone you're consuming 4,000 calories, you're messing up with your gut and whatnot. Okay, so that's something which is unhealthy behavior, and that's why a flexible dieting approach should be one where you can include small treats in your daily routine and still not go crazy and feel like binging on a particular food just because you didn't eat it for 10 days, 15 days, 20 days. Okay, so rather have small treats in the entire daily routine so that you feel sane and you can stick to this kind of a flexible eating nutrition plan for a long term. How you can count your calories, again coming back to the Healthify Me topic, or even MyFitnessPal is a great app which you can use, but Healthify Me, I would personally say that it's better for Indian foods. The database for Indian foods is just insane that they have. Okay, now so you can just, my favorite go-to treat is an ice cream, so I can just search for Amul ice cream, and I have a weighing scale, kitchen weighing scale at home. So you should also consider having weighing scale at home, a kitchen weighing scale where you can count your grams, the portion sizes on how much you're eating. That really allows you to have a flexible approach to your nutrition plan. So I'll just link my favorite, the one that I use, the kitchen weighing scale that I use. You can just order literally anything from Amazon. It doesn't matter much. So you can just check, like let's say my favorite portion size, my favorite go-to treat is Amul ice cream. So I just take a bowl, I put it on the weighing scale, and then I take one big scoop and I measure it on the weighing scale. Like let's say if the weighing scale says 50 grams for one scoop, and I just put that on Healthify Me and I check it, 50 grams of Amul ice cream. Now let's say if it's vanilla royale ice cream, I just check vanilla royale and 50 grams and it says 120 calories or whatever it is. So I can just literally account those 120 calories in my daily routine and I can stay sane like that, right? So now coming to the regular foods that you consume, so Healthify Me also has skinless chicken, paneer, tofu, even branded paneer. Like let's say if you search for ID paneer, you get that. If you search for Amul paneer, you get that. If you search for Amul cheese cube, you get that. If you search for Britannia bread, you get that. So even the branded stuff, even the regular stuff that we consume in the daily routine, even one roti, so you can search for a roti and input that, and you get a lot of different food database, which you can see the portion sizes and the calorie count and protein count and carbs count, etc. Everything is there on the Healthify Me database. So whatever you're consuming in a particular meal, like let's say if you're consuming eggs and toast and then a fruit with that, so you can just literally search on Healthify Me egg, whole egg, and then you can just, they have a menu there which you can select the quantity of the egg or the grams. Okay, so you can just select 2 whole eggs and then input that. The next food will be ghee or butter for cooking, whatever you've used, and you just select Amul ghee or Amul butter, whatever it is, and you can just, if you have counted it, if you know that it's 10 grams, then you can just input 10 grams of butter and input that. The next item would be Britannia toast or whatever toast you get, or bread, normal bread, right? So bread ko to you can just toast later on, and bread becomes like, you can just input that bread, 1 slice, 2 slice, 3 slices or whatever it is, you can just input that. And the next would be apple or guava, whatever. You can just measure that on the weighing scale. Okay, that's a 100-gram apple. You can just input 100 grams of the apple, and then you're good to go. So you have a fair bit of, and you also get analytics over there on how much protein you have consumed in that meal, how much calories that you've consumed in the entire meal. So that way you will have a track of how many calories you're consuming. Now, how to exactly know what your maintenance is, what your deficit should be, how many calories should you be eating for weight loss. Now, you can just go up to Google and search for a TDEE calculator, and you will have the first website, TDEE calculator, and you can just input your gender, age, height, weight, and your activity levels. As I told you, low, moderate intensity, heavy activity, or advanced athlete level activity, 7 days a week of intense training. That would be insane. I don't think most of us fall in that category, but if you do, you can select that, and you have that menu. You can just select your age, height, weight, and activity levels, and then accordingly it will tell you how many calories you should be consuming in the entire day. It's very simple. Let the AI do the planning for you, and you just decide what you should be eating in the entire day. Okay, now let's say if your maintenance calories on that TDE calculator, your maintenance calories comes up to 2500 calories. Okay, so for weight loss, you should be eating less than that. For weight gain, you should be eating more than that, right? That's fairly simple. Now, eating less than that, How much less? How less should you eat from your maintenance? I would say that you need to start at least at 200 or 300 calorie deficit, subtract 200 or 300 from your maintenance, and start from there. Okay. If you have a high maintenance, like let's say if you are very overweight, you can even go up to a 500 or 1000 calorie deficit. It's absolutely fine. But if you're not very overweight, like if you are like let's say 5 kgs over, or if you just think that you have a little bit of extra weight, little bit of extra fat that you need to lose, you don't have to go very crazy on the calorie deficit. If your maintenance is 2500, then you can go up to a 300 or a 500 calorie deficit. But if your maintenance is 3000 calories, and if you wish to lose a lot of weight, if you see and if you know that you are very overweight, or if you're in the obese category, then you can even go up to 1000 calorie deficit. Absolutely fine. So if you have a maintenance of 3000, you can start with 2500 and then slowly reduce calories every 2 weeks, every 4 weeks. So my personal take would be, to lose weight, it's best to start with a 200 or 300 calorie deficit and just monitor your progress every 2 weeks. And if you think that your progress is not going very good, then you can subtract 100 calories from that for 2 more weeks and then continue. And you will definitely see a difference if you are counting your calories and if you're tracking everything right, if you're doing the workout right, if you're sleeping right, if everything is on point, then you will definitely lose weight. And slowly, you can keep reducing 100 more calories every 1 or 2 weeks. And that would be a more sustainable approach rather than just reducing 1000 calories on the first approach ever, and then you don't have any room to reduce there, right? So it's best to start with a small deficit, slowly work your way up to a 500 or 700 calorie deficit, or even 1000 calorie if you are very overweight or in the obese category. Same applies to a weight gain approach. If you are underweight or very skinny, then you can even go up to a 500 or 1000 calorie surplus. But if you are a lean, in the ideal body composition, a healthy weight range like me, then you can start with a 200 calorie surplus for weight gain, then your maintenance. Now let's say if your maintenance is 2500 calories, you can go up to a 2700 calorie or 2800 calories plan for your weight gain. And you can design the protein, as I told you in the earlier section, you can design your protein as per that and start with that. And slowly you can increase 100 calories every week or every 2 weeks. That would be a very sustainable and a very ideal approach in the long run to avoid extreme fat gain, because even if you're skinny, it's not advisable to gain a shit ton of fat and then feel miserable. Like that's really counterproductive, isn't it? Right? So that is my take on that. Maintenance, obviously, whatever your maintenance calorie number comes up to, 2500 calories, if that's your maintenance. My maintenance is 2800 calories. So if I want to maintain, I will be consuming 2700 to 2800 calories. On leg days, I definitely go up to even 3000 calories. Even when I'm cutting, even while I'm trying to lose weight, my leg days will still always be higher in calories than my regular days, because hey, that's a leg day. Now, coming to the next, I want to dial back on the carbohydrates topic a little bit. I want to give you a little more insight on that, because a lot of people think that insulin resistance is caused due to carbohydrates. Insulin resistance is caused due to carbs. That's not true. Okay. Now, as I told you, the quality of carbs really matter. The glycemic load really matters. But there is one thing, which is fiber. The fiber intake can reduce your glycemic impact, the glycemic load. Now, even if you're consuming white bread, which supposedly is bad and it's white and it's maida and it's high glycemic and whatnot, it's still okay if you're consuming it with protein and fiber. Okay, so protein and fiber have a reducing effect on the glycemic levels, on the blood sugar levels. It helps you reduce the blood sugar levels. It helps you reduce the insulin impact. Okay, even if you're consuming white bread, it will not be a problem as long as you're consuming enough fiber and enough protein. Now, what could be an example? If you're consuming eggs with a lot of vegetables and some toast, it's not going to be a problem at all. Now, the quantity also matters here. How much bread are you consuming really? But still, if you're consuming it with eggs and vegetables and a fruit, then that is absolutely fine. If you're consuming a sandwich of chicken and veggies with white bread, is it going to be a problem? Absolutely not. But if you're consuming white bread with just butter and jam, then whoa, you're just talking about a big insulin spike, a big blood sugar level spike, and that could be a little bit problematic for you. Also because there's no protein to help your overall metabolic health, there's no fiber to help your metabolic health, and there's a lot of sugar and carbohydrates coming in from the jam and bread, and then there's fat like butter, so that is not a good meal. But hey, that could still be a 100-calorie treat. If you have a slice of bread with a little bit of butter and some jam on it, that could still be a part of your treat in your calories. I'm not saying that it's not good, but still, if you're consuming too much of just white bread with just butter and jam, that could be a problem. Okay, but still, my recommendation again is to have more protein, because protein helps you with your metabolic health, and fiber also does the same thing. So when you consume fiber along with your carbohydrates, it helps you reduce your blood sugar levels, and fiber also has a positive impact on your thermic effect of food. Thermic effect of food, as I've told you, in the case of protein helps you with increased thermic effect of food, because when you ingest protein, your body has to break down that structure, right? Your body has to spend calories in order to obtain calories from protein. Just like that, same case with fiber, your body has to break down. In order to break down fiber, your body has to spend some calories in order to obtain calories. And fiber is not a calorie giving component anyway. Fiber is just an additional component of carbohydrates. You will see fiber coming from oats, dal, lentils, beans, pulses, and from vegetables, from millets. And that's basically the best sources. Okay, nuts also have a fair bit of fiber, but I would say the best sources of fiber are vegetables and whole grains that you can consume in your daily routine. So that is really adding up to your satiety factor as well, and also increases your metabolic rate, the thermic effect of food. So fiber is a very essential component. Now, when I talk about fiber, I want you to understand that fruits also contain a lot of fiber, so you should be having your fruits as well. Now, what fruits? Any fruit, literally any fruit that you have is going to be high in fiber. But still, there are some fruits that are low in fiber, like banana or mangoes, or even custard apple is a little bit lower in fiber. But if you go for the regular fruits like watermelon, muskmelon, papaya, kiwi, berries like strawberries, blackberries, blueberries, cranberries, mulberries, whatever you wish to have, and even apples, oranges, really high in fiber. So you can have all these seasonal fruits. It's absolutely fine. And coming to the same thing, if you wish to have mangoes or custard apple or chiku or bananas or something like that in your daily routine, then you can just consume it within your overall calories. It's absolutely fine, right? Now, fruits are king. Fruits and vegetables are king, are literally the two most important things when it comes to having satiety for sustainable dieting. Now, obviously, to curb your appetite, to keep your appetite in check, you can increase fruits and vegetables to as much as you wish to. And I would say just make sure that you're consuming at least 2 servings of fruit in the entire day and 2 servings of vegetables along with your meals. It could be with lunch and dinner. It could be breakfast, lunch and dinner, all 3 meals, absolutely fine. Vegetables and fruits, there's no limit. You can absolutely consume as much as you wish to, because vegetables and fruits by themselves, they have low calories and high satiety. And that is exactly what we want when we want to lose weight, right? So that is basically what you should be prioritizing. And that's basically my favorite tip when people ask me the best tip for weight loss or best tip to lose weight consistently, it would be to prioritize fruits and vegetables and increase protein. Okay, because the goddamn protein, there's no compromise on that. Now, for fats, let's talk about healthy fats. Now, how much to consume? You know this. Again, we're coming to the same low activity, moderate activity, and high activity levels. Low activity, you can consume 0.8 grams per kg of your body weight of fat. For moderate activity, you can consume 1 gram per kg of your body weight. For high activity levels, you can even go up to 1.5 or 2 grams per kg of your body weight. Again, what dictates this is ultimately your calorie count. How much calories you should be consuming in the entire day. If you count your calories, then it's the best, because it gives you more flexibility, a better approach in which you can increase your fat intake and decrease your carb count on a daily basis, right? So like, let's say today, if you wish to have more fats than carbs, you can just control your calories within the same 1000 calories or within the same 2000 calories. Your split could be changing. Like it could be 60 grams of fat and 250 grams of carbs. It could be 100 grams of fat and 180 grams of carbs. It could be 50 grams of carbs and 200 grams of fat. Like I'm just giving you a very wild example, but still, I hope you get the point clearly here that if you actually count your calories, then you really know that you can increase your fat intake on that day and control your carb count for that day, or increase the carb count for that day and control your fat intake. Like, this is what I do when I go out to eat. Like, let's say if I'm consuming grilled chicken, which has or chicken wings which have a lot of fat, or if I have chili paneer, something like that, then I will go easy on the carbohydrates, because I know that the food that I ate is a little bit higher in the fat due to mayo, or due to oil, or due to whatever it is. If I think that I'm eating too much of butter or calories from fat, then I will control my carbs. I will just say no to the roti or chawal in that particular meal. Or vice versa, if I think that I'm having chicken and rice, or if I think that I'm having popcorn, then I will control my fat intake accordingly, because I know I'm having a lot of carbohydrates on that day. Okay, so this is how you can also adjust your carbohydrates and fats split in your daily routine. Now, if you use it for cooking, obviously everyone uses fat for cooking, like ghee or oil or butter, then you can limit it to 2 or 3 teaspoons per meal for your cooking, for your portion. Like, whatever your portions are, like whatever foods you're cooking, if it's sabji or chicken or dal or whatever it is, it could be 2 to 3 teaspoons per portion as a limit per meal. Okay, and it would give you a fair bit of flexibility in order to include other foods, because if you spend all of your fat calories just for cooking, if you just have too much of fat in your cooking, then you will not be able to include other treats, because you've just saturated your overall calorie count by having high fat intake in your daily routine, right? So that would be really going against the whole flexible approach anyway, right? So if you control your fat while cooking, if you keep it to a bare minimum, as much as you need in terms of your cooking, then you can include a little bit of Nutella, a little bit of ice cream here and there, and it would still be working in your favor for your flexible dieting approach anyway, right? So again, as I told you, if you count your calories, you can just place your fat and treat accordingly in terms of your calorie count. Now, again, coming to the same treats, it is absolutely okay to have at least 200 or 250 calories of treats in the entire day. If you have a low maintenance, like let's say if you have a maintenance of 2000 or 2100 calories, then you will be consuming 1600 calories for your fat loss, for your weight loss. And in that, having a big chunk, like if you have 500 calories of just ice cream, which is not very satiating, then you're left with just 1100 calories of food that you need, which should be high in quality and clean food, the supposedly clean food, right? So it's best to keep it 15 to 20% of treats of the entire maintenance that you have in the entire day. Like, let's say if your maintenance is 1500 calories, like, sorry, not maintenance. If your weight loss is 1500 calories, whatever energy you're consuming in the entire day, like if your goal is weight loss, I'm assuming that most of the people that are listening will be having a goal of weight loss. So if your goal is weight loss, then whatever your energy intake you have decided for your weight loss, like whatever deficit you have decided for you, if it is 1500 calories of eating plan which you've decided, then it's best to have 15% or 20% of those calories as a treat. Okay, now 15% of 1500 will be somewhere around 225 calories, which you can consume as a treat. Okay, so around 200 calories to 300 calories of treat you can easily have in the entire day. Try not to exceed that. Okay, try not to exceed 15% of that. Now, if you have a high maintenance, like me, like my maintenance is 2800, so my fat loss calorie intake will be somewhere around 2300, right? Because that's a 500 calorie deficit, and I can go up to even 300 or 400 calories of treat in the entire day, and I'll still have almost 1800 calories left with clean eating, which I can easily manage. Okay, so just be mindful of that, not to exceed 15% of your daily calories for a treat. Okay, you could easily fit more than that, but still I'm just giving you a thumb rule of 15% of the entire day, of your entire daily intake of calories, whatever you've decided. Now, I would like to talk a little bit about some supplements that are actually very important, like multivitamin. If you don't, like let's say if you're a vegetarian, if you don't eat eggs, then it would be really wise to have a supplement, a multivitamin which takes care of your vitamin D3, your B12 levels, vitamin B12, and your iron. If you don't eat a lot of green veggies, then you should also consider having an iron supplement, etc., etc. Okay, and also omega-3 if you don't eat fish in your daily routine, or if you don't eat whole eggs, then you should definitely consider omega-3. Even if you do eat fish and eggs, omega-3 really helps. So omega-3 is really important for your cholesterol levels as well, to keep your cholesterol levels in check. It improves your HDL cholesterol and it lowers your LDL cholesterol, having better omega-3 in your daily routine. Natural sources also are there, like as I told you, fish, whole eggs, egg yolk specifically, and flax seeds, almonds, walnuts also contain omega-3. But the best source, obviously the highly absorbable form of omega-3 will be a triple strength omega-3 capsule supplement form. I will link it in the description. You can watch it, or you can just tap on that link. And there's multivitamin. As I told you, multivitamin will be taking care of your overall vitamins and minerals that you don't get in your daily routine. Like let's say if your overall daily intake is not matching up to 100%, then the multivitamin can just give you a boost of 5-10% of the additional support for multivitamins, for vitamins and minerals like B12, vitamin E, vitamin D, vitamin C, etc., etc. So all of that will be covered in that. A basic multivitamin, anything is fine. My recommendation, I'll add it in the description. And creatine, the third thing. Now creatine is literally one of the supplements which is underrated, at least in India, I would say, because a lot of people think that creatine is bad, it is a steroid, it causes hair loss, it causes hormonal issues and whatnot. People just like to blame anything for everything. Now, creatine is absolutely safe. There are so many studies that have been done on creatine, and none of them actually point that creatine is bad. All of the studies, even I would say the best of the best studies, like the randomized control trials, the clinical literature that we actually can rely on, the systematic reviews, the meta-analyses always show that creatine is absolutely safe to consume. 3 grams is a small dose, is a starting dose, and you can even go up to 10 grams of creatine per day. That depends on your body weight. If you are, like let's say, under 200 pounds, 200 pounds would be somewhere around 90 kgs in weight, then you can take 3 to 5 grams of creatine. If you are more than 200 pounds, like if let's say if you're, I'm talking about muscular 200 pounds, if you're like more than 80 kgs, more than 80 to 90 kgs and very muscular, then you can even go up to 5 to 10 grams of creatine in the entire day. But starting with 3 grams per day, it's absolutely fine. When to have it? Post-workout. What does it actually do? Now, when to have it? Sorry, let me just correct that. Post-workout, but you can have it any point at any time of the day. It doesn't really matter that much, but post-workout is best to absorb it, because your insulin sensitivity is also at a peak and your creatine is absorbed at the best, in the best form. Okay, what does creatine do? Essentially, whatever workout that you're doing in the gym, like let's say if you're doing weightlifting, strength training, or if you're doing deadlift, if you're doing squat, if you're doing bench press, if you're doing overhead press, if you can do 100 kg deadlift for 5 reps, then with the help of creatine, you might be able to even push for 6 or 7 reps. Like 1 or 2 reps extra. So creatine helps you with better ATP production, obviously. Creatine, what it does is it donates its phosphate molecule to produce more ATP. Okay, so in ATP production, in your daily energy mechanisms, it helps you with a better and efficient energy production output. Okay, it's just that simple. Your body currently, it still has creatine. Even if you're not taking it, your body still has creatine reserves. But when you take creatine from a supplement form, it gives you even better performance. It's one of the ergogenic aids which really helps and has very, very good safety profile. So creatine is best for weightlifting. Okay. Now, I would also like to point out a little bit of one supplement which you can use if you think that your fiber intake is not on point, and if you think that your stools demand a better health, if your gut health, if you think that you need better gut health, then one thing is prebiotics. Prebiotics are basically essentially fibers that your body needs. You get prebiotics from oats, whole grains, fruits, vegetables, and etc. etc. But still, another great source would be psyllium husk. What we call in India is isabgol. Now, psyllium husk is a type of prebiotic fiber. Now, fiber and prebiotics, they help you with better gut health, and also fiber helps you with lower cholesterol levels. So when you have more fiber, it binds to cholesterol and it lowers the cholesterol, LDL cholesterol in your body. Okay, so that is essentially a good thing. It helps you with controlling your cholesterol markers as well. And coming to the psyllium husk, again, as I told you, prebiotics, it helps you with better gut health. And again, one more sibling of that would be probiotics. Now, probiotics are something that you get in curd. So curd is a good source, but if you don't have curd, then you should actually consider having a probiotic supplement, especially if you suffer from any probiotic gut related problems, then probiotic supplement helps you. Prebiotic, probiotic supplements are sold in the market together, that you can consider that as well. But still, psyllium musk is a good source of prebiotics. Psyllium musk, even oats and whole grains and fruits and vegetables give you a good amount of prebiotics. For probiotics, the best supplement would be VSL3. It is available in any pharmacy, or you can even have Yakult. That's absolutely fine. But if you want to have a better, stronger form of probiotics, then VSL3 is easily available in any pharmaceutical or drugstore. You can just go and have VSL3. It's not a drug. It's a probiotic which has no side effects. It's absolutely fine to consume. In fact, it really helps with your gut health, and a better gut health helps you with a better mental health and mental focus and clarity in your daily routine, and better energy levels also, because if you have a terrible gut, then your energy levels will be impacted negatively. So if you want to avoid that, then you can have a mix of pre and probiotics in the daily routine. And that's pretty much it. This is basically the end of this. I really wanted to give you a lot of insight on flexible dieting, and I hope I did so in this podcast. So if you actually found this helpful, then please consider sharing this video with as many people as you can. I would be grateful if this video reaches out to many people, because this is one form of motivation which I can feel. If you share this video with more people, and if you like this video, it's a motivation for me to come up with another podcast with more informative podcasts in the future. Let me know what your suggestions are for the future podcasts like this. I will make a very detailed and informative podcast on another topic soon. So let me know what your suggestions are, and I will definitely give it a consideration for my next upcoming podcasts. And thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.